live here to the heart of the matter on Spreaker and on iHeart.com. It is, let me turn that off. There you go. The air conditioning was blowing directly in the back of the phone. Last night, about this time, the President of the United States addressed the nation on what he considers one of the largest threats to national security is basically an unsecured border on our at the southwestern end of our country. Now, I had a short conversation, with the father of a former student of mine. And this guy's been a supporter of mine in these endeavors that I'm doing here on the internet for a while. And I believe that he still is. But I believe that he is becoming what I'm going to call Trump weary. I think that initially he supports the president, especially in the 2016 election, seeing that the alternative was Hillary Clinton. But he's tired. And I think that there is some weariness in the Republican/conservative ranks of this continuous, ongoing, back and forth, bashing and bashing back. And what I told him was, this sort of harkens back to the late 1700s and the early 1800s and our political discourse. This is not new. What we have to understand, I think, is that nothing is new. Having a disruptor as a president, that's not new. Nothing is new. This has all been done before. We have been around this before. We have been around where the political discourse was brutal. The character assassinations were part of what was normal in this sort of discourse. And I think, and as I was talking to him, I think what's happened is that we have, as a culture, especially as an American culture, we have been fed the narrative that politics, especially at the federal level, is a gentleman's game, where there is polite, stringent debate, and everybody behaves in a, quote, professional and statesman-like manner. We have been under the impression that this is how they behave how people behave at the federal level or any level of government. When the truth of the matter is that it hasn't been that way for a long time, and it definitely hasn't been that way always. It just hasn't been that way always. So when we see what we've been seeing here recently, it's real. It might have been fun to start with, but it really takes, or it's going to take, some stamina from people. And I can tell you that it's really that things are not about issues. Things are about personalities. And in this country, we are hip deep in personality politics. People that we like. You know, when Barack Obama was running for president, I was on the internet saying that I wasn't supporting Senator Obama, and I would get calls, and what they would say to me is, "Why don't you like Barack Obama?" Now listen to what you're saying. Why don't you like Barack Obama? Like, I'm supposed to like him. I don't think people even realize the verbiage they're using. I don't even think they realize the rubbish they're using. Why don't you like him? So I had to say this to people on more than one occasion. I don't like him or dislike him. I don't know him. All I know about Barack Obama is some of the things that he has said that, first of all, I disagree with. I don't think there's any way to pay for. And I don't see it happening. And I think if they do happen, it'll be detrimental to the country. That's it. I have a difference of opinion on matters of policy with Barack Obama. I don't like him or dislike him. I didn't know him. He doesn't know me. I don't know him. We weren't going to hang. We're not friends. So there was this terminology, this verbiage, you have to like them. And that's when this narrative really got pushed that we have to identify with our leaders. And we don't. Do you have to identify with the CEO of the utilities company that you live in? I mean, do you have to identify with that person? Obviously a leader, obviously a person who's responsible for making sure that you have electricity at your home. So that's very, very important to you. Do you have to identify with them? No, they're freaking rich. They don't live like you live. They're not concerned ever about making sure there's enough money in the account to pay the electric bill, ever. That's not how they live. Barack Obama, as a senator, was not concerned with grocery shopping. You don't have to identify with him. You don't have to like him. All we have to do is agree or disagree on policy, and that's my position. Personally, and I thought this before, I don't know if I still believe this. I think that I would have liked Barack Obama as a person. And there's only one reason. He didn't let his girls watch Hanging with the Kardashians. And I like that he didn't let them watch that. I did. So I thought that was being a good dad. And it's obvious those kids love him to the moon. So I thought for a while that I don't know after he's come back out of his presidency and done some of the things that he's done and said some of the things that he said, I don't know if I'd like him. But then I thought that I might actually like him. We would just disagree on policy. And that's not the same thing. Now, the problem is that a lot of you people think that that's how all of these people behave. They do not. And they have gotten some of us to behave like them. How come? Because we see these things that used to be hidden, that used to happen in the back rooms of Congress, in the back rooms of restaurants and all sorts of and clubs and golf courses and country clubs. How they used to play out in their hideousness. We're seeing them all play out on Twitter. We're seeing them all play out on CNN, MSNBC, who need to stoke that fire continually and continuously for ratings, for money. So there is a fatigue. Truly a fatigue. That we are definitely starting to see. And I wonder, and I have to wonder aloud, do we have people on the right that have the stamina? Do we have people on the right who have the stamina to endure to truly endure what's coming. You know, this person mentioned to me, like, maybe a person like Kasich should run, although he's not the perfect guy, but he doesn't think he'd be much trouble, and it wouldn't be the back and forth. And I understand that voice comes from fatigue. It doesn't come from a place of let's stand up with our principles. It comes with, well, there wouldn't be as much back and forth. There wouldn't be as much overt tribalism. And it'd be easier. And we could go back to our lives. My question is, what would the life that we'd be going back to, what would it be? How much did we have to, I mean, was there a more tribalistic period than the Revolutionary War? Was there a much more tribalistic time than that? When it was obvious, it was obviously us against them, and it was us against them on principle. So I'm not so sure, frankly, that that's the way to go. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that it isn't the way to go. I am confident that I have the endurance, and I'm also confident that enough other people have the endurance to see it through. Now, if that means going through 2020 as Donald Trump as the Republican nominee and candidate for president, then so be it. Because this is going to be, this continues to be a battle for the preservation of the Constitution, the preservation of conservative principles, the battle for the preservation of capitalism. This continues to be that battle. Just because the Soviet Union got shut down doesn't mean the communists went away. And I'm not, and I know when you say that, you sound a little crazy. You sound like you're participating in the Red Scare, right? But the fact is that the communists would love nothing more, the socialists in the world would love nothing more than to have America as one of the jewels in their crown. It would be the lead jewel in their crown. And I'm ready, and you know what? I'm ready to keep up the battle. I'm ready to keep up the fight. I'm ready to make, you know, like people on the left say, keep people aware of what's going on. I'm still ready to speak out. Because what I know is this. I know that a lot of the stuff that you hear, like when we're talking about border wars, it's just Trump. Because we're not talking about the thing. We're not talking about securing the border. We're not talking about a barrier. We're not talking about illegal immigration anymore. We're talking about there's no way that this Democrat Party wants to give a win to Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump could say, I've got money for the border wall, we're building the wall, then that's a win for him. That's a promise kept going into the 2020 election. The Democrat Party believes that they have some momentum, and they might, going into that election. And there is no way on God's green earth that they are going to voluntarily give Donald Trump that win. Wins in quotes. So the government, or the 17% of the government that's getting shut down, all the things that might happen, all the back and forth, all the rhetoric, all that stuff. What the left knows is that folks on the right anymore just don't have the stomach for it. And eventually will turn on themselves because they've seen it before. We've seen it recently. A huge number of people, whether the change from the who controls the House, Republicans take over the House. You remember? It wasn't that long ago, 2010. Wasn't that long ago? Republicans take over the House. A bunch of Tea Party candidates. People excited about making change. People excited about, holding up the Constitution. People who are excited about defunding Planned Parenthood. People who are excited about repealing the Affordable Care Act. People who are excited about the things that they had been elected about and for. They hit Congress like hot grease. Remember? But it wasn't long before rank and file Republicans, rank and file conservatives got scared and tired. Right? And the things that we talked about and the things that we had dreamed about when these folks were candidates and thought were going to happen simply went by the wayside. Didn't they? They simply went by the wayside. And things were back to normal. And let's talk about the Republican Party for a while. Michael Steele was making changes in the Republican Party. Had rode the wave of the Tea Party. Although that was a weird time for him, because Michael Steele is a rank and file, regular establishment Republican, but had done well. He noticed something that other people didn't notice, that out of the Tea Party came a lot of black conservatives and a lot of black Republicans that he could interface with. The Tea Party had done the work of the Republican Party as far as, quote, outreach, end quote, God, I hate that term, that they couldn't do. So he tried to benefit from it. But what happened? Too much upheaval, too much difference, and after a term, he's out. Reince Priebus is in. We're back to business as usual. So that's how it goes. That's exactly how it goes. And for those of us who are looking for things to actually get better, we're frustrated. When there is videotape of these people saying the same thing, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, George Bush, Donald Trump, John Boehner, all these people saying the same thing. Paul Ryan, all saying the same thing. And now, when Donald Trump says, we've been talking about this for 30 years, let's do something concrete, all the establishment folks on both sides of the aisle, it's like their hair's on fire suddenly. What? What? And because they have developed such tribalism out here, where we are, it's even hard for some of us to see that. That the game is being played, that is not between them, the game is being played on us. It's funny. We have times in history where the least likely person ends up being the best person for the time. On paper, it doesn't seem like Donald Trump should be anywhere near the presidency. Just may be the perfect person at the most opportune time to save America. So I got to go. So we see you again. Go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Peace.